Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of D Attacking Third. I got my man Austin Hamill over here. How you doing, man?
I mean, doing better than I was yesterday. Getting over being sick. I literally yesterday, every time I would cough, it felt like I was throwing glass out of my chest, which was the worst. Yeah. So thank God that's not happening now. Still sort of caught on the depression hangover of what happened on Saturday. My dog very much agrees with me.
So let's
But
let's let's get right into it, man. I know big game. I know we had our show on the at the studio last week on Saturday with JP there. I back. You mean you can check the show. I felt very confident. And I don't know about you. I feel like the union came out and we did kind of what we wanted to do, which is frustrate them, to the point where they would make a mistake and then we would capitalize. Um, I didn't see them doing that. I didn't see them capitalize enough to where um to where I would feel comfortable. I mean, we both know they were hurt in their back line, so I wanted to be a lot more aggressive towards that. But it didn't seem like we were like that was our plan. It seemed like Curtin's plan was just really frustrate them, play a physical game, just try to tire them out, and then just kind of get in where they could. Um, looking back at it, you have a very beat up back line in Cincinnati with Maesca being the defensive player of the year out. So instead of taking that opportunity and capitalize on it, you kind of lay back and just try to play as if he was in the game. I felt like I don't agree with the way that they came out and did it. I think that if we would have actually come out and be a little more aggressive. I mean, we had four shots on target. That tells you just four in that instance. I think that we should have done a little more to try and get there.
yeah, I definitely agree. It felt like like you said, it felt like we came out like Miazga was in the 11. Um, again a lot of, like you said, getting under their skin, hoping to be able to find a break to be able to get in the later minutes, but it just never came to fruition in that way. Um, aside from that, just honestly, especially as the later minutes came around, a lot of poor defensive choice, I guess you could say, in the way markings were done. Just overall, not the best performance for Philadelphia in that game. And honestly, I said it to a few people. To be 100% fair, I'm kind of glad that we're out in a way, because of the fact that it means that we have more time to regroup and try and make some sort of a push to see this team take that step to the next level to keep up with the rest of the league now. Because we're they made mention of it a few times during that broadcast. In a 29 team league, our payroll is 28th overall, and you're not going to get a ton of success consistently in a large window like Philadelphia has now without spending some sort of substantial money on your squad in general. So I feel like they were at a like I feel like you're at a deficit, but they did a good job of maintaining consistent success with what they had. But once everything started to hit this year with the amount of money that the key players were getting paid, not counting Lionel Messi, you're losing a lot of a lot of, honestly, from what I've seen on different like union groups that I'm a part of and stuff. A lot of the fan base was very upset at how the team structure has been this season and the choices that were being made as the season waned on.
Well, see, that's just how the union work. I want to disagree with you, and the only part I want to disagree with you on is that you said you're kind of glad they were out because we need to regroup. I don't think so. I think that we played the best team in the MLS technically right now, and they beat
Yeah.
us 1-0 in the 85th or 86th minute goal that we'll get into it a little bit later on. A very questionable call there, but you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I feel like if we were able to get them there, if we would have advanced, we had a shot at facing anyone in the league. So yeah, I got you. Like, of course, we need to regroup right now that we did lose, and we need to see what our starting 11 is going to be next year, because there are going to be some key pieces that are missing, and Kai Wagner's probably not going to be there. Actually, 100% is not going to be there probably. And then you have Julian Carranza, which probably won't be there. So who are you putting up there with Ua as your tandem? Does Ua stay with the team? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of questions in this lineup. What are you gonna do if Wagner leaves? Do we go for another left back and maybe pay a little money? Do we let just like Biso's gonna be gone? Who are you gonna put out? The Real? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of question marks in this team in their starting 11 next year, to where yeah, I'm glad that we can, we have some time to figure it out. We sadly we lost, but I feel like we weren't ready. I don't think this was our time. I think we definitely had a shot, and if we would have beaten Cincy, I feel like we would have gone far.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that this team couldn't have made a serious run in the MLS Cup playoffs, but I feel like with the short turnover from the end of postseason play to the beginning of regular season play, with the pieces that you're losing in terms of the skill that those guys have, you need to actually really have the time to be able to find the proper pieces. And losing, even though you and I have had our opinions about him throughout the past couple of seasons, even losing Alejandro Bedoya, just not only from a player
Yeah, I
perspective but from
forgot
a
about him. Yeah.
leadership perspective, losing him is huge.
Yeah.
You have like you said, Bizo, Wagner, Carranza, like these are all guys that were very key to this team's success, especially Kai Wagner. So I mean, like we made offers on guys to try and find a replacement, but the couple of guys that we tried to get wound up signing elsewhere. So you sort of lose out on that, and you have to, essentially losing out on a couple of targets that those were honestly probably the only targets that you were really looking at. Sort of puts you back. You're back at square one with what, 15 weeks until the season starts up again? Like there's not
Yeah,
a
and that's
ton of
that's another
time.
thing. You're absolutely correct. That is not a lot of time. I'm glad that we have a little more than some of these teams, but I you're absolutely right. There's a lot of question marks, and I'm curious to see what they're gonna do, and how we're gonna structure this.
Yeah, and actually speaking of Alejandro Bedoya, it was announced today. Well, I guess you could say earlier, around the time they were heading out to Cincinnati, I believe, that Alejandro Bedoya was the winner of the Audi Goals Drive Progress Impact Award, which
Yes,
is more for off the field,
yes.
which we've made, countless attestations to the
Oh,
fact that,
absolutely.
he was not only a great leader on the field, but he was also great off the field, helping to drive change in the community,
He's very involved. He's
yeah,
very involved with the community. Yeah.
and being a tri-state guy, like he really cares about this area. Like he lives here, his kids go to school here, so like tons of credit to him for being that kind of guy. And again, I'm just going to reiterate it. Losing his leadership is huge for this team. So I feel like he was part of the reason why this team was the way they were. Like his tenacity on the field, his I guess you could say like his personality essentially off of the field. Like the guy was everything that you wanted from a leader, and losing him, trying to find somebody that can fill that void specifically, you're gonna need a lot more time to try and find that guy. And unfortunately, there's not a lot before 2024 starts. So
No, but that just falls back on Jim, right? On getting his guys ready. Me personally, I would rather have somebody that can contribute more on the field than just be a voice. Because again,
oh yeah.
we can have Jim be that voice of reason. In the field, it's a little bit. You obviously need the captain, so we'll see what goes up there. Like I would assume that one of our defenders takes the captaincy, whether that's Glesnes or Elliott. I'm not sure, but I would assume that one of them takes it. I don't think Gastag would, but who knows? They have more of a tenure with us, so we'll
Yeah,
see
I
what
mean,
happens.
yeah, and there were quite a few times this season where Blake wore the armband, so there's even the
Well,
possibility
Blake,
we
yeah,
could go there.
Blake's a good one, but Blake,
But if yeah, like
I mean,
there
we'll see.
yeah, there's definitely a lot of possibilities for where the armband can go. But
You know what? It all depends on who's going to step up, though. Like, who's going to be the guy? Is Blake
exactly,
that guy? Is Blake that guy to just sit everybody down and say, "Dude, we're messing up. Like, we gotta stop." Is he that guy? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when the time comes. I mean, they're going to make a decision. Can it be Blake? 100%. That's going to be it. I'm guessing that one of our CBs takes a step up. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Like I said, there's a ton of question marks right now. Probably more than we've seen in the last couple of years with this team.
oh yeah. And speaking of question marks, because this is something that I did want to touch on, and good friend of the pod, Jose Nunez, actually reposted this. The MLSPA, the Players Association, put
Yes.
out a statement in terms of their I guess you say their disapproval of the way the refs acted in the FC Cincinnati first game against New York Red Bull with Matt Miazga. I'm just going to give you a brief little snippet of it. I'm just going to give you the first paragraph here.
Sure, go
Uh,
for it.
the MLS Players Association condemns the behavior of the Professional Soccer Referees Association and certain PSRA members with regard to the November 4th incident at Red Bull Arena involving FC Cincinnati player Matt Miazga. Both the match report approved by the officials and the statements released by the PSRA regarding the incident contained material falsehoods. Since then, the PSRA has not only failed to correct these falsehoods, its president has continued to repeat them publicly. So, what? What? Like, the fact that your players association being like, y'all messed up and you messed up bad. Like, I genuinely think this is probably, I want to say only the second time in my life that I've actually seen a statement from a players association in regards to refereeing. The first time being when there was the referee lockout in the NFL, and they were making the guys they had come in to replace were making a ton of questionable calls, and the players association was like, y'all need to figure this out because this is getting out of freaking hand, and like do it fast because next week's coming and it's just not good. And I feel like this is honestly kind of a mirror to that because especially if like it does come out that they were actually falsifying information in a way to justify the call that they made towards Miazga, you know, not a FC Cincinnati fan or not, like that's just not a great look for not only the league in general but refereeing here in the States.
So we talked about on the show on Saturday with JP. We talked about uh, Miazga itself and what kind of player he is, what kind of person he is. I described him as very animated because he is. He's very
Yeah,
much in your face. He
100%.
has no problem, expressing his feelings at all. What
Yeah.
he and I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. What he did should not have been done. Like there's no reason why you should go to the ref locker room at all
No,
for
yeah,
any
definitely
reason
not.
whatsoever. However, why did he? Right? Like
Exactly.
nobody sits down. Nobody has sit down and ask just why. They just focus on what he did and his suspension, and rightfully so because he shouldn't have done that. But why did he do it?
Yeah, like one of the another line from the MLSPA statement here is, and I quote, to respect the integrity of the disciplinary process, the MLSPA refrained from public comment until the process was complete. The PSRA, on the other hand, created and repeatedly reinforced a false public narrative that appears to have directly influenced that process. So again, it's just the fact that you don't. I'm assuming you don't have anybody sort of essentially policing the referees because they have their own association that I guess handles that all in house. to not have any sort of, I guess you can say, joint communication with like a third party is not helping the situation at all, because you can basically say anything and you're just gonna everyone's gonna be like, well, the ref said that happened, so it has to have happened. And I understand how animated Matt Miazga can get, but there's no way that just off of the merit of what he did to get those cards is going to cause him to directly go to the referee locker room and want to say something and or do something.
Mhm.
So it's just one of those situations where, like, regardless of what has happened or what will happen in the future, it's a black eye on the league as a whole when you really think
Yeah.
about it, because of the fact that you let this happen, and if the information has been falsified, there's no policing that, and it just overall is just making the league look bad. And
But
you're
this
trying
is
to increase the spread of soccer here in the country, and if you have officiating essentially having carte blanche on whatever they want to be able to say or do, in respect to a few different things, it's just not going to be a good look at the end of the day.
here's the thing though. With the reference, it is obviously is this country, and it's gonna involve the MLS as a whole. But reference, there's been these questions about reference all over the world. Like this is there is a big question mark around how much power the referee actually holds in a soccer game,
Yeah.
because they do hold a ton of power. VAR came about so they can control some of that power, so they can make decisions, actual decisions, looking at video and replay. Completely get it. However, we're still coming in situations where you can't replay a foul.
Yeah.
That's gonna be completely on the ref. If he says something that if you say something that he doesn't like, guess what? You can get a yellow. You can get a red. If you really want to start talking shit, you can do that. But if the ref doesn't like it, he can get you out of the game just for saying something. It's almost like
Exactly. I mean,
like a player getting it's a technical. If you get too technical, you out of
yeah,
the game, right? So it's kind of like
yeah,
that. But the refs in basketball just hold a little bit less. I feel like the refing in soccer, and I've always said this. Like I feel like it's just there's way too much power concentrated in one man. He does have help in each corner, but he has to keep up with every single play, right? And they're
yeah,
usually pretty in shape, so I'll give him that. However, there are instances like this where how are you going to actually prove? It's a matter of opinion, right? How are you
yeah.
going to prove it? The ref can sit there and say, "Well, I would have given him a card." Where another ref would have said, "Well, maybe a warning," right? But guess what? It's up to them.
Exactly. And honestly, when especially if you look at it from a broader scale, like, from the perspective that we're at, as a fan, we don't know what happened. So it's kind of
Yeah.
tough to be able to really make a call of, like, yeah, it was totally justified, or the ref sort of just took liberties in a way. So it's kind of tough to be able to, I guess you could say, like, gather the real true, like, actual information from what happened.
Well, again, maybe he
And
said something that he didn't like, or so, I mean, we don't
exactly.
know.
Yeah. And then, sort of to piggyback off of that, you look at what happened with Serginho Dest in the first game against Trinidad and Tobago. And that was one that, Dest let himself get out of hand. And that was a proper way to handle that situation from the referee's standpoint. Dest is yelling a lot, making a lot of, being very animated, kicking the ball into the stands, and then blows a kiss at you, like, nah, dude, you're gone. I don't want to, like, no, we're not playing that. See ya. Like, so I like there's definitely, I guess you could say, like, two different sides of the scale on that, in a way, where, like, you see everything happen and you understand why the cards were issued and the ejection was given. And then you look at the Miazga situation, where playing with a yellow, goes into PKs, apparently says something the referee does not approve of, hits him with another one, and he gets really, like, extremely more animated. And then no one knows what happens after that. The report says certain things. The player himself, the team, and now the Players Association are all saying something totally different. So you end up hitting this crossroads of, okay, do we let the referees continue doing what they do and have the referee association be the true policing body for what referees are doing, or do you get league oversight? And you're in that weird crossroad of like you can't take a middle path, because if you go third party with it, there's possibility for potential collusion in a way. So you want to be able to
It's
find
still
that.
FIFA.
Yeah, like you want to be able to essentially have oversight on the referees in your league, but at the same time, you then have to go to the governing body for your entire, I guess you say your entire hemisphere in a way, your entire
I
continent.
don't I don't think that changes. I don't think anything like that changes going forward. I still think they might look at it, but I mean, there's really so much you can do. Adding VAR was huge in terms, but there's still going to be there's still going to be calls that are going to be questionable, that are the ref chooses not to go see, or maybe they tell him that it's not a decision. Which brings me to my next segment here, and precisely is that questionable goal that Cincy got right towards the end of the game there,
Yeah,
and where, in my opinion, and I'm sure your opinion also, there was a man offsides.
clearly, because you and I both watching soccer anywhere else that isn't MLS, we both know that offsides for a defender, the furthest back piece of the body that you can get is the end of their shoulder. And they literally drew the line near Carranza's elbow to
Oh, they
keep,
completely went off the book with this one.
yeah, to keep the player on side so that he could get the goal. I was saying to you before the show, I actually found a video. I want to say it was on. It was either like a Facebook reel or a genuine TikTok, but it was a full like 6.5, 7 minute long video of the entire VAR process for a Premier League game. And like as the play is happening, the VAR guys are talking back and forth, like, "Oh, I think I saw a penalty there," and then another person goes, "Yeah, and so might have been offside." So they're like, "All right, well, we're like the goal happens," and he goes, "All right, we're gonna take a look at it." And you hear him call down to the ref. The ref, I forget exactly what his name was, but he was like, "Hey, we have a couple of things that we're gonna look at. We're gonna let you know if we need you to come over and have a second look after we get this information gathered." So like the communication between VAR and referee in a league like the English Premier League, if you have that kind of communication, I feel like not only that, but like the proper rule set for determining these kinds of calls, you're gonna get a ton more clarity. And the fact that we don't have that here in MLS is a, also a growing problem.
Here's my issue, okay, and I'm trying to stay very calm because this is absolutely ridiculous. In a game like this, it's a playoff game. You're a semifinal in a conference. At least take a look at it, dude. Take
Yeah,
a look at it. Like, what are you going to lose? You can add the time at the end of the game. It's not like you're going to sit tight. Go look at it. This is a game where it decides who stays and who leaves, who can potentially play for the cup and who cannot. Because I thoroughly believe that whoever won this game was going to go toward the MLS Cup. In a game like this of this magnitude, at the time of the goal, to win the game, you gotta look at it. Go
yeah,
look
you
at
really have to. You absolutely have to.
it. VAR can tell you all you want. You're the ref. This is where you control things. Go look at it. Say
Yeah,
to them, "I need to go look at this."
and actually,
This
another good
isn't
friend of the
something
pod.
that just
Yeah,
happens.
yeah, and actually, another good friend of the pod, JD Walker, just chimed in. And I'm going to bring his comment up in a second. I just wanted to get through a few of these really quick. Shout out to Daniel Berry. What's going on, man? Thank you for tuning in.
Hey,
Same goes to our guy Mitch Koski. He actually just did the Fly Like an Eagle podcast right
what's
before
up,
we
Mitch?
came on. Always doing a great job. I got a chance to do pregame and postgame with him. He's an awesome dude, man. Always a good time getting a chance to chat with Mitch. If you Eagles fans out there who are also Union fans want some really good insight on the Eagles, definitely check out not only him but our guy Dibes and all those guys do a great job covering the Philadelphia Eagles. Myself, Pat, Al, Mike, Matty B, everybody covering the Eagles has been flying high the past couple of weeks, especially after Another game where it took me a while to be able to breathe. Dude,
all
so
around.
many, dude. I literally
Listen,
Jalen Hurts hit that final step on the drop back. I pointed at the offensive line and I was like, he's got the seam. He starts to run. I literally hop up from my chair, one finger pointing in the air. I'm like, that's ball game, baby.
Listen, this Sunday I made an executive decision. I'm just gonna go to the emergency room and just watch it from there.
Just watch, yeah. Just watch in the waiting room for in case they need to
That's
bring out
exactly
the
what I'm gonna
paddles
do.
for you.
Just in case.
And then JD chimes in here. Hey guys, brutal loss the other night. I'm relatively new to following MLS. Has the officiating always been this bad?
Yes.
It's been awful the entire season, not just the Union game, but the LAFC games.
Here's the thing, though, JJ.
Follows it up with LAFC benefited twice with Vancouver and Seattle. This helps conspiracy theories fly. Are Euro leagues this bad, or is it just CONCACAF leagues? This endangers credibility of the league. And I 100% agree with that last statement.
This is what I'm saying. It's not just the MLS. It's just CONCACAF as a whole. The reffing in CONCACAF has always been spotty. Has always been weird. It's a more when I say it's a more physical league, it's because half of these games are just I'm just gonna pound on you.
Yeah,
just because I can. Right?
Pause.
It's a more physical league. But the reffing has always been a question mark for me. Going into coming from watching the Euro leagues, even South America, like with CONMEBOL, and then watching the CONCACAF, it's very different how they ref. Yeah, very different how they ref these games.
Yeah.
To the point where you have to almost play differently. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to approach the game a little bit differently, and it's tough. It's tough to kind of watch a game, especially like this, and just basically just have to eat the fact that they didn't look at it because they didn't want to look at it.
Yeah, and then I think this is honestly my favorite comparison that I've received when it comes to officiating. Come on, show it. JD chiming back in saying, Ted Uncle is one of only two names I know. Is he the Angel Hernandez of the MLS? That Seattle LAFC game was a disaster. Yes, absolutely. That is the perfect comparison for Ted Uncle. He really is
absolutely
the Angel Hernandez of Major League Soccer. And I really feel like it's only a matter of time before someone blows up on him heavier than he's seen already. And then everyone else that follows multiple sports starts making that kind of comparison. Like, I feel like with the NFL, it would be like, who's the Hockley that's still in the NFL? He makes a lot of bad judgment calls on some penalties with his crew. It's not Ed because he retired a couple years ago. Is it Sean?
In the NFL?
I feel like? Yeah, there was a pair of brothers that did officiating. Their last name was Hockley. And it was Ed Hockley, the dude who always looked like super friggin' ripped all the time. And then I think he still has a brother in the league that does officiating, and I think he's a crew chief now, and he's done a lot of really tough calls. Actually, JD, yes, this guy too, Jerome Boger, bro, not even that, but like I feel like in my opinion, I feel like the NHL is the only league with competent officiating.
I mean, sometimes I guess it's like it's less controversy. It's less controversy now that, or it's less controversy in comparison to other sports. But that's also because there's a lot of calls, and hockey's just a really fast paced game, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of calls that everyone's gonna miss. Just like there's always some kind of holding in football, right? You just have to call a blatant hold. You have to be able to kind of differentiate between a hold and an actual hold, right? So it's a tough job. It's a tough gig. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say that that it's easy. It's not easy. You have to be one in shape. You have to be two knowledgeable of the sport. Three, you have to know every single rule. Like it's a lot. Like to be a ref, I power to him. But how come there are some refs that can do it just so much better than others? At that point, I think that the refs. They just have to look at it and say maybe this guy shouldn't ref important games anymore. Maybe we'll give him an end season game, but when it comes to the playoffs, maybe he shouldn't be out there.
Yeah, like that which is one of the things that I actually, personally have made mention of is with the MLB, as the amount of teams reduce, the amount of umpire crews reduce as well. So you're not like they're getting the guys with the best possible game rate to be able to officiate these games, so that way it's not as much of the what a lot of people have been saying with football, especially in like the later parts of games, the referees are taking over the game. You don't get a lot of that in certain leagues,
Dude,
depending on how it goes with the officiating. And if personal opinion, I feel like the only league that I would be able to be a solid official in would be the MLB. I know what the strike zone is. I know what the rules are.
but even if the MLB, the strike zone, that changes from umpire to the other.
Exactly. Some dudes like to
Listen,
call a lot more of the outside stuff than others, and it's
and
just
usually I don't mind as long as you stay consistent. Like if you're gonna
yeah,
call that game, maybe the strike zone's a little below where you usually have it. That's fine. Be consistent the whole game, and I have no issue with it because pitchers are going to take notice of where the strike zone is for you, and then switch up how they're going to throw the ball. But as long as if you don't stay consistent, that's going to throw a pitcher off, and it's going to affect the game. This ref, I forget his name from Saturday. He just like became the Scott Foster of the NBA. The NBA
oh,
ref Scott Foster against Philadelphia. It seems
that
like Scott Foster every time he goes, there's a team against Philadelphia, it's always one sided, like always.
oh yeah,
And it kind of. I'm not saying that it went that way the whole game because it didn't. When you look at the game, if we go through some of the stats here, um, fouls were 17 from Philly, 14 from Cincy, which again pretty even. We can't say that. Two yellow cards each, no red cards in this game. He did call five offsides to Cincy to none of the Union, but that was not because it was on the Cincy side. That was just because we weren't creating that opportunity to be offside. So
exactly.
that part was a little frustrating. I'm not gonna lie,
Oh yeah,
but it's that call is it's just so huge not to actually go to VAR, look at the different angles, and determine for yourself just then if he was offside or not. Because I believe it was Ian Murphy that was offside that headed it in, right?
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you can clearly from
No,
the
it
angle
was
we were
it
at.
was it was Mosquera.
Was it Mascara?
Yeah, the
Okay.
goal went to
Uh,
Mosquera. But it might have been
no,
Ian
no,
Murphy that
no,
was
no. The guy that
initially.
headed it in though
That,
wasn't.
yeah, it was Murphy that got the
Oh yeah.
initial
So that's
touch
what
on
that's
the
what I
ball
was
as it
talking
came
about.
through.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So Ian Murphy was the one that was offsides because he headed
yeah,
in first. He went back and then headed it in so Mascara could get that goal. So again, it's frustrating because of the fact that we were right in there with them. We were frustrating, so you could tell that they were frustrated because they played a little looser. Usually, we were making things difficult for them. There was a couple a couple of times where they should have scored, but they didn't. That just goes to show that the Union were right there. They felt our presence, and to lose the game like that sucks, dude. Like it doesn't feel like we lost. It feels like it was taken away from us
yeah.
in some level. Like I'm not the guy to say that we lost because of the ref. No, that's not what we lost because in all reality we should have had more opportunities to score, especially against a banged up back line, right? So I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think that's why we lost, but I hate the fact that we lost this way.
yeah,
That's where I stand on it.
yeah. We got JD checking in saying that Vancouver's coach was suspended for 6 games for losing his mind after the ref cost them the game, saying that it's excessive for such a blatant mistake. And dude, that
That's so excessive, dude.
the fact that you blow it, get called out on it, and then you essentially petition for suspension is one of the things that I still personally will never understand with any sport. Because if you're being called out on a mistake that you made and you're just like, no, get out of here. See you in a month and a half, dude. Like, it's just it's ridiculous, especially because like he's saying, it was such a blatant mistake that they made. And then here he is, Jose asking if his favorite band from Ambler is away.
Jose, he's out getting his coffee ready, bro.
Yeah, he's finding the perfect
coffee.
straw.
I think he did one too many pumps and Wawa arrested him.
He asked for 32 pumps and a splash of coffee, and they were like, "Sir, you have to go to jail."
Hell out of here.
No, yeah, Pat's actually going to be doing the Flyers post game show tonight, so he's watching that game, getting the info that he needs for it. So he will actually be joining me after this for our old school gaming show over on Devereaux Sports, where we'll be talking about fun cooperative games from our time. I did actually ask the dudes if we were just doing video games, because I personally find Dungeons and Dragons to be a cooperative game.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, that was the point that I was making. Like, it's literally at minimum 3v1. Like, if you really think about it,
technically you're not wrong. So it all depends on whether you want to do just gaming or video gaming. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Which, just a quick update for you Flyers fans that are tuning in, and you may have the game going in the background and you're not taking a look. The Devils are currently up 3-2 on the Flyers with 2:47 left to play in the third period.
Come on, Fly guys.
Dude, unreal the level of play that they've had recently. It's been so good.
I was really very surprised.
Yes, JD agrees with me. D&D is absolutely a cooperative game.
Like I said, technically you're not wrong. It is. It's all gonna depend whether you're going to be a video game or gaming, because there's a difference, right? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could technically consider MMOs cooperative games, because you eventually do have to team up with people for certain things in certain aspects. I'll talk about it more at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
I just wanted to dig a bit further into this statement from MLSPA. I guess you could say the middle of the entire statement says, quote, "Video footage made available and reviewed during the disciplinary process confirms that statements made by the referees and the PSRA were false. Unfortunately, that evidence does not appear to have been appropriately factored into MLS's decision." So you gaff, you lie about it, and then you try and cover it up.
Again, it's still FIFA.
It is. More importantly, it's CONCACAF. So this is exactly what I expected from CONCACAF officiating.
That happens everywhere. It's just that CONCACAF's a little messier, right? FIFA's awful when it comes to corruption itself. They just do it in other places like Europe. They just do it a little more, in an elegant way. I would say. Over here is a little more rough. Just like CONMEBOL, there are times where they just like, yeah, we're fixing this. I don't care.
Yeah, and then just to wrap up our sort of our talk about this whole thing, the final statement that I'll give off of this entire body is the final paragraph here, and it is, quote, "Refereeing is a difficult job. Mistakes on the field happen and the game moves on. Matters of integrity, however, are rightfully taken much more seriously. The behavior of the referees and the PSRA in this case did not demonstrate a level of integrity commensurate with a league of MLS's stature." This is brutal in how much they are essentially lambasting the officiating. And
I don't think anybody has said or can say, if you really do, like, I don't think you're actually noticing what they're doing. It's not easy. Let me just put that out there. Being a referee, no matter the sport, I mean, there are some sports that are a little easier, but it's a tough gig. The game is in your hands. That you have to be. Again, there's a lot you have to know. You have to basically know the whole rule book. There's a ton of different things that you need to be aware of. So by any means, it's not easy.
Yeah,
However,
absolutely.
there are certain scenarios where you just can't afford to be this bad. You can't.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
was one of them.
100%.
You can't afford to be bad in a conference semifinal game for the MLS Cup. You can't.
Yeah, yeah, especially in a conference semifinal more than anything is
Listen,
where you can't do that kind of thing.
he probably shouldn't have gone off the rails. Okay.
Oh yeah,
However,
definitely not.
I understand. Oh, the Flyers just scored. Let's
Hey,
go,
let's
man.
go.
Um, but again, I completely understand where Vancouver's coming from in that sense because of it, right? Because of the whole thing.
Yeah. Um, even though, I mean, I may tune in, probably not, but uh, MLS did announce that the MLS Cup final will not only air via MLS Season Pass on Apple TV, but also on Fox Deportes, TSN, and RDS, and the game is slated to start at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So you'll get more than just having to have your Apple TV Plus subscription, your MLS Season Pass subscription, whatever it may be. You can just watch it on regular TV, thankfully, because that was one of the big questions that Pat and I had 2 weeks ago. Was we weren't sure if it was just going, especially like the further you got into these playoffs, if it was just going to be season pass or if they were going to actually put the stuff on TV. I did want to bring this up though because this is hilarious. Liga MX teams play like the NBA in the '90s, knocking
It's
everyone
physical,
around.
bro. It's physical. I'm telling you,
It
it
really
is.
is. It really is.
But
This
the
whole
refs,
side of
for
the
the most
world.
part, down there let them play. Like that's just CONCACAF. Look at
Oh yeah.
dude, the perfect scenario. Look at the Champions League for CONCACAF. Just
Yep.
look at that. Just look at that whole tournament and tell me, tell me that the referee in CONCACAF is not bad. Just
Yeah.
look at that whole tournament. Go back and look at highlights. Look at the like a part of the game, maybe like 20 minutes of the game. Like just take a look, and you'll see exactly what we're talking about in terms of refereeing and skill in the league. Because that was
Yeah.
awful.
I mean, now we're at the point where I guess the main thing to really discuss now is where the union go from here in terms of filling the voids that are left by the players that are leaving. I mean, there's plenty of time to speculate until actual moves are made. Season doesn't start until February of 2024.
That's not far away.
Yeah, and here we go. JD, welcome to CONCACAF. It gets harder, end quote. Damian Lowe, which is, dude, for that man, I got to do one interview with him post game in the locker room, and that dude just always tries to make any situation lighter. Like like, that quote alone tells you exactly the kind of dude that he is. Like he just like everyone else on this side of the world that watches soccer understands him more than most because of the fact that he has the firsthand experience. But like CONCACAF do what CONCACAF do, and
And he plays a way that he's going to get a running with a lot of the red because he's a very aggressive center back.
oh yeah, and one of the I actually did want to make mention of this because we are starting to sort of segue our way over to talking about players that you could possibly get to replace other guys. Um, from Tom Boggart, I learned that the Philadelphia Union attempted to sign Christopher Lund as a replacement for the inevitable departure of Kai Wagner, but he wound up going to Serie B-side Palermo. So
I didn't know that we were even in the running.
Dude, would have been so good. Like
Yeah.
What the heck was the number it was? Of the 13 matches that he played, he created 86% of chances for his side, which compared to other fullbacks is head and shoulders above the rest for
pretty good.
that he was having. 21-year-old guy, 6'3", 6 foot tall, would have been perfect. And he was a U.S. national. So he's been getting looks from the men's national team. And, only 1 assist in 13 matches at the time. Had an overall match rating of 7 throughout the season. Would have been perfect. Would have been a perfect guy to get to replace Wagner. You fumbled.
Okay. Are we really surprised?
No.
Okay.
That's but learning about it makes me upset.
No, of course, I understand. I'm not surprised though. I'm not going to let that be upset because I know we're not going to go for that. We're not going to put out the bag, dude. It's not our way. We're going to find that guy that Jim likes. That's not going to cost that much. That's what we're going to go out and find because that's the way that we play.
Mm-hmm. It's just
frustrating.
I just wish there was a way.
The Devils scored again.
That's more than likely the game then. But yeah, I mean, I really do wish there was some way to just walk into that office and just grab Sugarman by the shirt and tie. Just be like, look, dude, quit it. All right, you had your fun. Now stop it.
Here's the thing, though. It all depends on what he's looking at in terms of success, right? Because I do want to talk about this anyway. But what he looks at in terms of success, meaning that to some people, myself included, there's a difference between having a bad team and correlating that with failure. Like I don't, right?
Yeah, no.
You can have a good season, like to me, like the Eagles, if they don't make it to the Super Bowl like this year, if they lose in the second round, first round, whatever the case may be, right? The season was still fun to watch. It was still a good season. They had a good season. There are people that correlate losing to a bad season. I don't. Now, was the season a failure? Yes, it was. Like I don't care. I don't care who you are, what league you're in. I don't give a shit about any of that. If you don't win the championship that year, whether the season was good or not for you, you fail. Because the whole goal of doing this is the competition behind it is to reach that ultimate prize, whether that's a Super Bowl, the NBA championship, a Stanley Cup, World Series, whatever the case may be, that's the goal. So if you don't reach it, I'm sorry to say your season is a failure. Failure. That does not mean that you had a bad season. I don't believe that the Philadelphia Union had a bad season. We were up. There was a couple of fumbled games along the way, but we were always fighting. We were always up top 4 or 5, right? We were always there. We had some injuries that we had to overcome, but we did, and we scored. Gazdag had, from the beginning of the season to the end of the season was just a completely different player, which I like because I criticized him a ton at the beginning of the season, and I did say that number 10 was a little heavy on him, and he completely just changed his way. He got a little more comfortable, I think, and he became who he is. So I still had fun this season. I still say that we had some good games, so we made it to the semifinals of the cup. Which brings me back, circle back to my original point is that if he views these seasons as good seasons, right? He could maybe say, yeah, we failed, but we still had a good season. And maybe that's why he's not changing his mind because he's like, well, we're still having good seasons, even if I don't break the bank. So why wouldn't I keep doing this as a businessman, right? I'm playing devil's advocate. I don't like it. Just so we're clear. I don't like this. Yeah. I wish we spent money. I'm just saying maybe that's how he's looking at it. The Philadelphia Union don't really spend that much, and usually when we turn a player around, when we sell it to another team or on loan on another team, we're usually making some money out of it. And if that's what his main focus is, that's good for him. But as a fan, you don't want to see that. As a fan, you don't view your team as a business. You view your team, as your passion. You put everything. You invest a lot of time in this team to watch it, to follow it, to buy the stuff. Like you invest a ton of time and sweat and blood into this team, even as a fan. So
Mhm.
when your owner is doing shit like that, it's kind of like a slap in the face in terms of like you're treating this as a business, and we just don't see it that way. So of course we're gonna butt heads because I don't care about how much money you're making. I want to see some players out there so we can reach and grab that trophy.
Yeah, like making money is all well and good,
Yeah,
but
I understand that part
in
absolutely.
in the way a business works, you have to spend money to make money, and we're not spending a lot of money.
But we're
And
making money without spending. That's why I
exactly,
feel.
and yeah, which you hit that. I feel like you're eventually going to hit that stagnation point of like, yeah, we're not spending a ton of money, but look at all of this that we're bringing in, but we're not going to spend a ton of it. We're gonna develop guys from inside, so that way all the money that we send out is gonna come back more. And then you turn around and I mean, Bedoya made $1.06 million. How much did Gazdag make? Around the same. Aside from them, I don't think there was anyone over 1 million for a salary on the team. Kai
Okay,
Kai, Kai wanted to just cross over 1 million. That's all he wanted, and that's respectable for being the best at your position.
right.
Like you don't look at the NHL and see Connor McDavid making league freaking minimum, scoring 50, 60 goals a
Well,
year.
we
You
also
don't
don't have a Connor McDavid though.
but I mean at like one of the guys he's the best at his position in the league is what I'm getting at. You don't see a
Yeah,
guy like I'm trying to put this into a bit of a better perspective, I guess. You don't see a guy like a Garrett Cole, like the one of the best pitchers in baseball, making next to nothing. He's the best at what he
so
does in the league, so he
well,
makes
okay,
money equivalent to that.
okay. So here's the
But
thing.
I understand at the same time the disparity between the
Yeah, so
salaries overall of the
that's
two
a
leagues
big
is
point, right?
extremely
Yeah,
different.
right, right,
But
right,
at the
right,
same
right.
time, like
So
not
what we
only
want to
have
look at is
not,
what we want
yeah,
to look
not,
at is
not only
percentages.
yeah, not only have the wherewithal to understand that he is the best at his position, but also understand that being the best at their position means, they're gonna want to get paid like that. And if you're not paying him like that, then what the hell are you doing? Like the guy's contract is running up. Apparently, you maybe had like 2 or 3 actual conversations with his representation, and then nothing after that. Bedoya, you had a 20-second conversation with, and the guy's been with the team for almost 8 years. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then the whole thing with Bizo just brings my blood to an actual boil. Like you
Well,
couldn't
Bison
you
was
couldn't
was
you
was
couldn't help you
immigration
couldn't
though.
help yeah, like you couldn't help this guy out. You couldn't do anything to help him out with
To,
getting that
to
stuff
be
resolved so that way he wouldn't
to
have
be
consistent
fair,
stress on him
to,
during a 60 plus game season counting
to be
playoffs.
fair, to hold on, to be fair, okay, I've gone through that process.
Oh
Half
yeah,
of that is not the MLS, it's the U.S. government.
yeah, but I mean
So so that part's tough, no matter what. He probably did try to help, but the government they don't give a shit.
yeah, but especially more with the fact that with Wagner and Bedoya, like you have these guys who are making incredible contributions to your team, and you're like, nah, like get effed, okay, get effed. You're absolutely just blowing this opportunity to potentially keep your team at the level that it's at, and not doing that.
Who's the highest paid defender in the league right now? Just defender, not even left back, just defender as a whole.
That's a good question. Let me
Would,
find
would
out.
it, would, was it Martins? Thiago Martins?
I believe so.
It's either him or Zimmerman, I think.
I can actually type.
Because the fact that Zimmerman's making more than $1 million, it's baffling to me.
It is Tiago Martins. He's making $2.1 million.
It's
Zimmerman has a
Martins.
higher base
Yeah.
salary, but his guaranteed compensation is 2.05.
So let me ask you a question, right? And this is going to be a little more centralized in the MLS and not other leagues, right?
Right.
How skill wise, position wise, how far is Miazga from Kai Wagner, if anything at all, to your opinion,
I feel like
in terms of skill?
Wagner's definitely. I feel like that Wagner is ahead of him a bit, but not by much. Because I feel like
Okay,
it's more what Miazga does to essentially rally the rest of that back line for them. Almost in a way that like a Glesnes or an Elliott does for us.
okay, yeah, but Miazga is this that guy, right? In terms of
Yeah.
skill, though, I personally I think that they're right there. They can both do their thing. I mean, they're the better left backs in the league. Miazga's making 1.5, right? And
Yep.
not that I want Wagner after all that happened. I'm saying when the time was. I'm glad that we actually didn't give him a contract before all that. But just to where the Union are, you know, as a mentality, that shows you right there because they obviously know how what the gap, if any, is between Wagner and um, Miazga, right? So you can tell they're pretty much very important. You can probably switch them back and forth, and you'll be perfectly fine in any 11 that you're going to make for the MLS, right?
Yeah.
Yet one of them gets paid $1.5 million. Why? And why is it surprising, or why is it a conflict when somebody's asking not to reach the 1.5, just to break that $1 million mark, right? That's the part that I don't agree with the union. That's the part where I think that we need to actually like take a look at. And I love making money. I love making money. That's my thing.
Yeah, you work at
But
a bank, dude. That's all.
yeah,
Money's all
exactly.
your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love making money, dude. I love helping people make money. I love helping people save money. Like I love it. However, we don't see it as a business. You as a fan don't see it as a business. I don't see it as a business. I see it as my club. Like this is what I want to look at. This is what I watch when I'm at home. We invest time, even our
Yeah.
money. We invest money into this when we really know that it's really not going to be any return. Yet we still invest it anyway.
Yeah. Like we're not looking at the sport with this. We're looking at it with this.
Right. Exactly.
And not not
Exactly.
not not the name of the store on
And
my hoodie. We're looking at it with the boobs.
yeah, and,
Like
and
beneath the
again,
boobs.
I get that you want to make money. I understand completely. However, I mean, sometimes you just have to throw us a bone as a fan base, right? Sometimes maybe you take a little hit just to make the people that pay your stuff a little happy, right? I mean, that's not too much to ask. I don't think.
Exactly. It's definitely not too much to ask. Especially because of the fact that you look at the fact that again, Wagner is, if not the best, tied with the best left back in the league. Like there's one other person that you could make an argument for, and that man is making closer to $1 million than Wagner is, which is marginal at best. And it's just, dude, it's the worst. Like
Yeah, it's insane.
it's driving me up a wall because the
It's
fact that
insane.
this guy consistently, not even actually scoring goals himself, but the creation that he's been doing in terms of creating opportunities and chances for the team, you're letting that guy walk away
Yeah.
and walk into free agency and potentially make the money that he was looking for on a team that you're going to face multiple times in a season. And he's going to burn you because you know how good he is. Like you lost that opportunity to keep him now. You've disrespected him to the point where
Yeah.
he openly was like, "This is my last year here."
Again,
Like 2/3 of the way through
I'm
the season, he
I'm
said it.
glad it happened. Just so we're aware, after all that happened with him and the racial thing, I'm kind of glad that we don't have that headache.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm glad that we don't
But
have to deal with the fallout from it once he leaves
but before the fact, it was a bunch of bullshit.
because you look at what you're going to have to deal with Kai Wagner next year. You're going to have to deal with the question that you are going to be getting consistently is he actually an unhinged player? Sorry, I'm like my nose is dripping because I'm still sick. You're going to get that question of, is he a liability? And from the time that he's put in with Philadelphia, you have to deal with a lot of, you're now overlooking what he's done as a player and now looking at him as a person, which if you don't separate those two, you're at a very strange crossroads of, oh, don't sign him, he's a horrible person. But that's one, granted, not condoning racism in any way. It's an isolated incident. But then there's the other road of, do we overlook that and just hope that it doesn't happen again and sign one of the best left backs in the league? Like, this guy has the opportunity to push a team to another level. And he could have been keeping that play consistent here in the city, and you're losing that. You're losing it. Like, Nate Harriel, like, don't get me wrong, Nate Harriel is great. McGlynn off of service is phenomenal. But you're losing an excellent defender and a great chance creator in Kai Wagner.
Yeah.
And now...
Well, now you're going to replace him, right? Because there's no way he's coming back. If we're being completely real, it's just not happening.
Yeah,
so
and it's
now we got to look to replace him.
Hard. Yeah, it's going to be and that level of talent is going to be near impossible to try and replace. It's going
to be tough.
And with the way the Union are, you're literally going to be like, well, I guess it's back to the pipeline again.
Well.
But I did just want to really quick give a shout out to Mason, who's a new listener.
Hey, what's up, Mason?
Is that Jason Kelsey?
Dude,
I think it is.
If that's actually Mason, dude, go find Kylie right now.
Seriously. And now this is a fun question because I'm a bit of a baseball guy. Yeah. And if there's one person that I loved watching this year that wasn't on the Philadelphia Phillies, it was Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't think he leaves the West Coast. I think he goes to the Dodgers. I think he just goes a couple miles down and plays with the LA Dodgers.
I hate
every second of that thought because I would love for him to come here.
I hate what I'm about to say.
Do you think the Mets spend a ton of money on him?
I think the Yankees do.
Actually, I feel like that actually makes a ton of sense.
Honestly, I think that actually does make a ton of sense. I don't know why. I feel like they're gonna drop that money and
oh yeah,
and they're gonna get it done. Which leaves Yamamoto out there, right? Which I really do think that the Phillies are gonna go and hardly pursue him. However, we need to sign a Japanese player because he wants to play with Japanese players.
Yeah, so gonna be a bit tough. I mean, would I love to see Philadelphia make a stab at Shohei? Absolutely. I would, if we could figure out some way to put Ohtani in a Phillies jersey, I would do it. I mean, but then you also have to take into account you're not getting Shohei Ohtani the pitcher this upcoming season because he had the Tommy John surgery. Yeah. You're getting the hitter, but then when he recovers from the Tommy John, you get that pitcher back.
Right.
So
which is why I think they're gonna drop some money on him.
And the general consensus, even after he had the surgery, was that he could possibly get $500+ million. Which, I mean, if you look at the salaries for the best hitter and the best pitcher, it's still like 30-40 million more than what that expectation is. So, like, dude, absolutely, like Mahomes level contract money.
That's disgusting money.
So gross, dude. And then not only that, you count in like all the ads that he's doing for Japan, all the ad revenue that the team's gonna get from the Japanese ads from when he plays.
Oh, Jesus.
Just overall the residuals that the team gets. Like, I was watching a video, like I believe it's like, I think it's like Ohtani when he plays brings in like 2 or 3 times what his current contract was in like 3 months, which is insane. Like you want to talk about a generational talent, like that. Shohei Ohtani is him. Like it's the closest that you can get to using that term that you've seen probably in your entire lifetime.
Yeah.
Like the last person that we had that kind of conversation with probably was Sidney Crosby, and then Connor McDavid.
But you know what? We'll see what happens. You know, that's going to be a very interesting topic come during the off season
for a couple of weeks, because the winter meetings are starting up in about a week and a half.
It's going to be an interesting topic coming around. So right now we're gonna the season's over. Sadly, getting back to the Union, season's over. We just, like I said, a lot of question marks, and of course, as the weeks go by, we're gonna hop on and just kind of go through if there's any news. We have a lot of some. We can even get into some international stuff. I'm really excited for next year. We have the Copa America and then the World Cup coming the year after that. It's going to be a good couple of years coming around. I'm hoping that the Philadelphia Union finally host up a MLS Cup in that span. That would be awesome. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Pleasure talking to you guys. Thank you for chiming in. Whoever chimed in. Austin, take it away with the ads, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right, guys, if you're a Philly sports fan and you want to travel with your favorite team, then travel with the best. Go to phillysportstrips.com. They have self-travel packages and full travel packages available with round-trip flights from the Philadelphia airport. Packages include direct flights, 4-night stays, all-inclusive tailgate parties, lower-level group tickets. Whatever you want, you got it with phillysportstrips.com. If you want to travel to an upcoming Phillies game, make sure you check out Philly Sports Trips. And do not forget, Philly Sports Trips has all the away trips for the Eagles' upcoming 2023 season. Jump on it now, because you do not want to lose out on all these great opportunities. Go to phillysportstrips.com. All right, guys, when you're staying local and you want to watch a great game or just hang out with some great people, make sure to go to Dolan's Bar at 24 East Sellers Avenue at Ridley Park. Right off of I-95, south of Philadelphia Airport, Dolan's Bar is the place to be. Great music, great times, memorabilia giveaways, great drinks, and even better food. You never know when a former Philly sports icon walks through the door. You've got to go to Dolan's, 24 East Sellers Ave at Ridley Park. Tell PJ that EOP sent you. Go to dolansbar.com or follow them on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or even TikTok. We'll see you there for the game. All right, guys, let's talk about Cherry Law Firm. If you get hurt at work in a motor vehicle accident, personal injury, or affected by criminal law, you got to call David R. Cherry of the Cherry Firm. Call 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Let David R. Cherry fight for your rights. Again, that number is 610-565-0300. That's 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Let David R. Cherry fight for your right. All right, guys, it's time to talk about Sherry's Tickets. Sherry'sTickets.com is easy to use and has no hidden fees. The price you see is the price you pay. Pay less and play more with Sherry'sTickets.com. Save even more by using the exclusive promo code EOP10. That's EOP10. Do not pay hidden fees and save 10%. Why use any other ticket reseller and get those hard-to-come-by tickets to the big game? If you need a more personal touch, give them a call at 610-494-5050. That's 610-494-5050. Sherry'sTickets.com also has great theater and concert tickets that are hard to get your hands on. Remember, do not overpay and save with the best at Sherry'sTickets.com. Save 10% using the promo code EOP10. That's EOP10. You'll thank us later. Sherry'sTickets.com.